Welcome to my channel, Management Accounting Made Easy. This is Standard Costing and Variance Analysis Part 8. This is about market share and market size variances. First of all, we'll see what is a market. So all of us know market is a place where buyers and sellers meet either physically or virtually to buy and sell products or services. Markets differ between different products, services, or even different geographical regions. Therefore, when defining markets, it must be specific in terms of the products and services it includes, or the specific geographic region, whether UK or Europe or the North American, and the time period it covers. Then the final point, businesses may have different market share in different markets, so it's important to specify the market it covers. For example, as I mentioned before, whether it's an European market or the Asian market. We're going to see why market share is important. Before we see this, we'll see what is market share. Market share indicates the percentage of total sales generated by a single firm in the total industry or market. We'll see, for example, if XPLC sells sports cars in the European market and XPLC earns 10 million in gross sales revenue, but the total sales of the sports cars in the European market is, for example, $100 million. So we can see XPLC have a market share of 10% because out of the total sales, 100 million, XPLC's sales is 10 million. Therefore, XPLC's market share is 10%. Now we'll see why market share is important. A business with a large or growing market share means that it is outperforming its competitors and it's satisfying its customer needs. On the other hand, if the market share is decreasing, it means that the company is losing its business to its competitors. So if this situation continues, the company should leave the market and concentrate on the more profitable markets. Say total sales increase show growth in the market over time. Increased market share indicates that the company is in a dominant position in the market compared to its competitors, and this will boost the investor confidence. Market share variance occurs when the actual market share varies from the budgeted market share, like any other variance analysis. In general, market share is something which is under the control of the company. So market share is like an operational variance. Market share variance is like an operational variance which a company can control. So as we have seen before in our previous slides, market share is the proportion of the total sales of a company in relation to the total market, i.e. the overall total market sales. So maybe 10%, 15%. So that's the market share. So market share variance will tell us how an increase or decrease in a company's market share affects the profitability of that particular company. Increased market share will increase the profitability, and on the other hand, decreased market share will decrease the company's profitability. So we'll see how to calculate the market share variance. So we'll start with the actual market share in percentage. Take away the budgeted market share in percentage, times it by the total units, times it by the budgeted margin or profit or contribution per unit. So we will be learning with this formula with an example in our next slide. So we'll see market share variance with an example. Joy Jumpers PLC sells all types of high quality jumpers. The company has budgeted to sell 80,000 jumpers to the UK and the European market. Its market share for the Christmas jumpers has improved by 2 percentage points to 10%. So that means at the time when they budgeted these 80,000 jumpers, the market share was 8%. Now, the market share has gone up to 10%. Now we'll continue with the question. Due to the current situation, the overall market for festive jumpers has contracted by 7%. So that means the overall market for the festive jumpers is 93% now. All jumpers are priced to achieve 25% markup on standard cost. The selling price per jumper is £75 because it's the UK market, so I have used the pound sign. Doesn't matter the pound sign or dollar sign, the calculation is going to be the same. Required. So we need to calculate the actual sales, and also we need to calculate the market share variance for Joy Jumpers PLC. We are going to calculate the actual sales for our example, Joy Jumpers PLC. So we are going to see the question now. Budgeted 80,000 jumpers, market share was 8%, now it has improved to 10%. So at the time of budget preparation of 80,000 jumpers, the market share was 8%, now it's gone up to 10%. Overall market contracted by 7%. So the overall market is 93% now. Selling price £75 per jumper with a markup of 25%. So we are going to calculate the actual sales. Now, we have budgeted 80,000 jumpers. At that time, the market share was 8%. So we are going to calculate the total market, which is 1 million. Because 80,000 divided by 8%, which is 0.08, which will give us 1 million. So the total market is 1 million. Now the market share has increased to 10%. So the budgeted sales in a 10% market would be 1 million times 10%, which is 100,000 units. Because now the market has increased to 10%, so the total market now is 1 million. So our budgeted sales should be 10% of the total market, which is 1 million. So that is 100,000 units. The question says the market has contracted by 7%. So this would reduce the actual sales to 93%. So the actual sales is 93% of 100,000 units, which is 93,000 units. So here we are going to calculate the market share variance. That's our part B for Joy Jumpers PLC. So we look at this question. The market share for Christmas jumpers has improved by 2 percentage points to 10%. So we know it was 8%. Now it's gone up to 10%. But the overall market has contracted by 7%. And the question says the budgeted selling price £75 and the company is expecting 25% markup on standard cost. So we'll calculate the market share variance. So we look at the formula. Market share variance formula says actual market in percentage, take away budgeted market share in percentage, times total units, times budgeted margin or budgeted profit, or it could be budgeted contribution, or if a company sells different products, then we have to calculate the weighted average margin or weighted average profit or weighted average contribution per unit. Okay, we'll calculate the budgeted margin per unit here. Now, the question says 25% markup, and in brackets it says on standard cost. Not all the exam questions going to tell us that markup is on standard cost, because the examiners, they expect us to know if it is a markup, then it's on cost. And they have given the selling price £75. Okay, if the cost is £100, we are expected to make £25 profit. So the selling price should be £125. So now the selling price is £75. So if the selling price is 125%, how much is 25%? So £75 divided by 125% times it by 25%, that's equal to £15. That's our budgeted margin. Let me quickly talk about the budgeted. If the question says 25% margin, then the calculation of budgeted margin per unit will be really easy for us, because margin means on selling price. So £75, 25%, we would have got the budgeted margin per unit. But this one is on markup, so that's why it's £75 divided by 125% times it by 25%, that's equal to £15. So we'll calculate the market share variance. Now the actual market share is 10%, but the budgeted market share was 8%, so 10% take away 8%, times the total units, 1 million, which we have calculated in part A as well, that is 80,000 units divided by 8%. But the market has contracted by 7%. So 1 million times 93%. So that's the total units, times it by the budgeted margin or budgeted profit per unit, which is £15. So the market share variance is going to be £279,000 favourable. As we know, we have to put either it's a favourable or an adverse variance. In this case, the market share has increased, so the market share variance is a favourable variance. Okay, we have seen market share variance. Now we are going to see market size variance. Market size variances can help to assess the effect on profitability when there is a change in market size, assuming the market share stays the same. Market size of an industry is the total units sold by all the companies in the same industry. For example, for Joy Jumpers PLC, the market size for the Christmas jumpers is the total Christmas jumpers sold by all the companies in the UK and in the European market. Okay, so now we'll see how to calculate the market size variance. So the formula is actual market size in units, take away budgeted market size in units, times it by the market share, which will be in percentage, times it by weighted average profit margin or contribution margin, or because as we have seen before, weighted average profit margin we calculate if a company sells different products. But if a company sells one product, then it would be budgeted profit margin or budgeted contribution margin. The actual market size, okay, varies due to different factors. It could be due to economic conditions or new models introduced by the competitors or the consumer trends. So these are the factors that decides the actual market size. We have learnt about sales volume variance calculation. So sales volume variance can be subdivided into market share variance and market size variance. So when we do the market share variance and market size variance calculation, we can cross-check our workings by calculating the sales volume variance. That means our market share variance plus the market size variance must be equal to the sales volume variance. Okay, we are going to calculate market size variance for this example, which is our Sheeba company. We look at the question. Sheeba company produces and sells different types of dog food. For the month of August, the company has budgeted to sell 200,000 units of nutritionally complete, high-quality canned food. The standard contribution $3 per unit. The estimated total market for August is 2 million units, but the actual market has gone down to 1.75 million in August. Actual sales for the month of August is 157,500 units. Now the question is, analyze the sales volume variance into market share and market size variance. So we need to calculate sales volume variance, market share variance, and market size variance for the Sheeba company. Okay, we'll do the sales volume variance calculation for our Sheeba company. So we look at the question, budgeted 200,000 units, actual 157,500 units, standard contribution is $3 per unit. So the sales volume variance is budgeted number of units, take away the actual number of units, times it by the standard contribution per unit, which is 200,000, take away 157,500, times it by $3 per unit. So our sales volume variance is $127,500 adverse. We are going to calculate market share variance for our Sheeba company. Okay, so the summary of the question, 200,000 units budgeted, standard contribution $3 per unit. Estimated total market for August is 2 million units. Actual market is 1.75 million units. Actual sales 157,500 units. Now, if you look at the question, what was the budgeted market share? Because the question doesn't say the budgeted market share. we need to calculate the budgeted market share. So if you look at the total market, which is 2 million units, out of the 2 million units, Sheeba wants to sell 200,000 units. So the budgeted market share is 200,000 divided by the 2 million, which is 10%. Now, we'll see the actual market share. Actual units sold is 157,500 units, but the actual total market is 1.75 million. Therefore, the actual market share is 157,500 divided by 1.75 million, which is 9%. Okay, so we'll do the market share variance, the market share variance calculation, which is, we know the formula, actual market share, which is 9%, take away the budgeted market share, which is 10%, times it by total units, that is the actual industry sales units, which is 1.75 million, times it by the $3 standard contribution. So the market share variance is $52,500 adverse, because we have budgeted for a 10% market share, but now the actual market share is 9%. It has gone down, so that's why we have an adverse $52,500 market share variance. We are going to calculate Sheba's market size variance. So the data is given, budgeted units, standard contribution, estimated total market, and the actual market, actual sales, everything is given. So we are going to calculate the market size variance. The actual market size, which is 1.75 million, take away the budgeted market size, which is 2 million, times it by the budgeted market share, which is 10%, times it by the standard contribution, which is $3. So our market size variance is $75,000 adverse, because our market size, actual market size, has gone down from 2 million to 1.75 million. That's why the market size variance is an adverse variance. Now, we are going to cross-check our workings. We have calculated the sales volume variance, market share variance, and also the market size variance. As we know, the sales volume variance should be equal to the market share variance plus the market size variance. So the sales volume variance is $127,500 adverse, which we have already calculated. This should be equal to our market share variance, which is $52,500 adverse, plus the market size variance of $75,000 adverse. So now when you check the market share plus the market size, we are getting the sales volume variance. So our calculations are perfect. Now, in management accounting, interpretation is also an important part. So in addition to the calculation, we got to interpret our answers. So we will talk about Sheba's performance. By calculating the above variances, Sheeba has to analyze the reasons for the adverse variances. First, they should see how well the budgeting process is done, because Sheeba was supposed to control 10% of the market, but they were actually controlling 9% of the market. This could be due to increased competition or good quality products produced by the competitors, or maybe the similar quality as Sheba's with a cheaper price, or the economic conditions such as boom or depression. So people are, if the market is, if the economic condition is not good, people are not willing to pay for the expensive, good quality dog food. Okay, now Sheeba should see what could they improve in their business. The next question they should ask, what our customer wants, or what the customer doesn't like about us. And another question they can ask, which factors affect our sales? Or they can ask, are there any internal weaknesses? Okay, after the analysis, Sheeba should turn its weaknesses into opportunities. For example, looking for any upcoming trends in the market, correcting the internal control weaknesses. So these are the analysis part for this Sheeba. We have already done the calculation of market share variance and market size variance. But in this example, we are going to calculate the same market share and market size variances with the calculation of weighted average contribution per unit. So we'll look at the question. The Chocolate Lounge Company sells all types of chocolates, including choco nuts, white chocks, and milky chocks. Budgeted total market is 162,500 units, and the actual total market is 245,000 units. The following information relates to the month of December. So they're going to give us the budgeted market share, actual market share, budgeted selling price per box, and the budgeted variable cost per box. So they have given choco nuts, white chocks, and milky chocks, the budgeted units, actual units, budgeted selling price, and the budgeted variable cost. So we need to analyze the sales volume variance of the Chocolate Lounge Company into market share and market size variance. So we are going to calculate the budgeted weighted average contribution per unit for the Chocolate Lounge Company. So we'll take the products. Choco nuts, their budgeted selling price is $15. Budgeted variable cost is $6. Therefore, 15 take away 6 is $9 per unit is the budgeted contribution. The budgeted number of units is 5,000. Therefore, the total contribution from choco nuts, total budgeted contribution from choco nuts should be $45,000. So $9 times the 5,000. So we are going to do the same calculation for the other two. The white chocks. Budgeted selling price $7. Take away the budgeted variable cost $3. So we will get budgeted contribution per unit is $4. Times it by the budgeted number of white chocks, which is 4,500 units. So the budgeted contribution from white chocks is $18,000. Now the milky chocks. Budgeted selling price $16. Take away the budgeted variable cost is $4.75. Therefore, the budgeted contribution per unit is $11.25. Times it by the budgeted number of units, which is 10,000. Therefore, the total contribution from milky chocks is $112,500. So if you add all these, we will get the total contribution for the total number of units is $175,500. So we are going to calculate the weighted average contribution per unit, which is our budgeted weighted average contribution per unit. 175,000, that's our budgeted total contribution, divided by the budgeted total number of units, which is 19,500, because we have budgeted to sell 5,000 units of choco nuts, 4,500 units of white chocks, and 10,000 units of milky chocks. So if you add everything together, we will get 19,500 budgeted total units. So our weighted average contribution is $175,500 divided by the 19,500, we will get $9 per unit. Okay, we are going to calculate the sales volume variance for our chocolate lounge company. Budgeted number of units. According to the question, 5,000 plus the 4,500 plus the 10,000, that's equal to 19,500 units. But if you refer the question, the actual number of units sold, 7,000 plus the 5,500 plus the 12,000, that's adding up to 24,500 units. So the difference is 5,000 favorable because the actual number of units sold is more than the budgeted number of units. Now, in order to convert this into money value, we are going to times this by our budgeted weighted average contribution per unit, which is $9. So our sales volume variance is $45,000 favorable. Okay, we are going to calculate the market share variance for our chocolate lounge company. So the formula for market share variance is actual market share in percentage, take away the budgeted market share in percentage, times it by the total units, which is the actual industry sales units, times it by weighted average contribution per unit in this question. So the actual market share is 24,500 divided by the 245,000 total units, because the company has actually sold 24,500 units out of the total 245,000 units, which is 10%. But the budgeted market share, the company budgeted to sell 19,500 units out of the expected or budgeted total market units is 162,500 units. So the budgeted market share is 19,500 divided by 162,500, which is 12%. So we'll calculate the market share variance. Actual market share, which is 10%, take away the budgeted market share, which is 12%, times it by the actual industry sales units, which is 245,000, times it by our budgeted weighted average contribution per unit, $9. Therefore, our market share variance is $44,100 adverse, because our budgeted market share is 12%, but the actual market share is 10%, which is lower. So that's why our market share variance is an adverse $44,100. We are going to calculate the market size variance for our chocolate lounge company. So first we look at the formula to calculate the market size variance, which is the actual market size in units, take away the budgeted market size in units, times it by the budgeted market share, times it by the budgeted weighted average profit margin or contribution margin. Okay, our actual market size is 245,000. Take away the budgeted market size is 162,500 units. Times it by our budgeted market share, which is 12%. Times it by the budgeted weighted average profit or contribution margin is $9. So the market size variance is 89,100 favorable. So as usual, we'll cross-check our workings. So our sales volume variance should add up to our market share variance plus the market size variance. Okay, our sales volume variance is $45,000 favorable, which should be equal to our market share variance, which is $44,100 adverse, plus the market size variance, which is $89,100 favorable. So 44,100 adverse plus 89,100 favorable is adding up to our sales volume variance, which is 45,000 favorable. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in cost, volume, profit analysis.